Hello everyone, hope you all are doing well. This is Paramita and I welcome you to my channel Paramita PM. If you are new to my channel, then I would request you to visit my page, go through the content, and if you really find my lectures helpful, then do like it, share it, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel. And please remember that you should always turn on the notification button so that you do not miss any update. So now, without any further ado, let's get into the lecture. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. If you are new, then this is Paramita and I welcome you to my channel Paramita PM. In this video, I'll be talking about feminism. I'll be providing you with a brief introduction to feminism. What is feminism? Different people have different notions about the term feminism, and that only evidence to prove that they do not have adequate or sufficient knowledge with regard to the concept of feminism. In this video, I will make an attempt to provide a definition or provide a notion about feminism in the simplest terms possible. So let us get into the lecture. What is feminism? If I look at the term feminism, then I would say that it is not a singular concept, or it is not even a unitary concept. Rather, it is something that consists of multi-layered, complex, and often contradictory ideas. So therefore, it is very difficult to arrive at a specific definition of feminism. And it is because of the reason that there have been various approaches to the issue of feminism. But if we try to look at feminism, or if we try to define it in the simplest terms, then it would be better to say that it is basically a standpoint, or it could also be a method of analysis which helps in looking at the world, or which helps in analyzing the world from the perspective of a woman. Feminism as a concept or as a theory, it questions ideological and institutional practices, and at the same time it addresses the issue of women's inferior position in society. Now, when I say that it questions ideological and institutional practices, I mean that feminism questions the policies that are adopted by government. It questions popular culture. It also questions the several ways of doing things, the several ways of being, and asks as to how these practices affect women's lives. So basically, feminism questions these practices, these ideological and institutional practices, in order to point out how these practices, are at work in order to give women, or in order to, let's say, lend women an inferior position in society. And that makes them, or that makes feminists, or that makes this theory address the issue of inferior position of women in society. And therefore, it also struggles, it also strives to find ways as well as methods for alleviating, the social, cultural, political, and economic discriminations that women in every sphere of life are subjected to. It simply attempts to lessen these discriminations. It always struggles, it always strives to come out, to seek ways, to find out ways which would help in lessening or maybe completely, removing these discriminations that women are always, that is always, these discriminations that are always meted out to women in society. And as far as this is the central problem related to women, and we can see that we will see that there are different approaches, and it is this different, it is the differences in the approach to this central problem that contribute to the complexity, that contribute to the diversity that underlies feminism. Origin of the term feminism. The origin of the term feminism is uncertain and quite debatable at the same time, because the existence or the emergence of the term can be traced back to 1870s. Like in 1871, this term was used in medical discourse to refer to those male patients who showed symptoms of feminization. In fact, in 1872, Alexander Dumas, he also used it in a pamphlet in order to identify women who behaved in a masculine manner. However, the term had spread through Europe and America by 1910, which means the early 20th century. So, from this, we can understand that feminism as a term always had conflicting implications, always had conflicting connotations in both medical as well as political discourse. If we look at the term feminism, we shall find that it consists of two components. Femi, which is a French term and it means woman, and esme, which refers to a social movement or a political ideology. Therefore, we can say that feminism is a social movement or a political ideology. In fact, this term has often been rejected by many activists, many women activists who were struggling against social sexist oppression. Therefore, it is very interesting to note that feminism was initially not used by women who were struggling for their rights, and therefore it became quite controversial a term. Chronology of feminist movement. If we try to find out, or if we try to locate the time when feminist movement started, then we shall see that feminist movement started with the Seneca Falls Convention of 1848, that is the late 19th century. The Seneca Falls Convention of 1848 is significant because 300 men and women rallied to the cause of equality for women. And that is why this particular time is considered to be the starting point of the feminist movement. This movement demanded equality for women as citizens because this is what was ensured in the American Declaration of Independence. So, feminists wanted women to have equal rights in society as citizens, because being a part of a state or being a part of a country, they do have the right to enjoy all the rights that a citizen is entitled to. Therefore, they demanded equality for women as citizens. Although the origins of feminism, like I said, are as a movement are diverse, but as a political movement, it is a 20th century phenomenon. Here I would also like to point out that the suffrage movement, which is also known as women's rights movement, that took place in the United States and England in 1848. But before that, this awareness of the discrimination that was prevalent in society against women was very much there, and it had already emerged before women started to fight for their rights, started to fight for their suffragette rights, that is, their right to vote. So, just even before that, we should know that this awareness of the discrimination against women was already there, and therefore women activists, they attempted to protest or to, let's say, challenge these discriminatory practices that were very much prevalent in the then society. So the three waves of feminism are first wave, second wave, and third wave. Mainly, we all are familiar with the three waves, but here I would like to say that the fourth wave of feminism is already in. So, although I have mentioned the three waves of feminism, but we should know that there are at present four waves of feminism. The first wave, which began in the late 19th century and early 20th century, the second wave, which started in around 1960s and 70s, and the third wave, which started in 1990s. That is the third wave, because the third wave of feminism is said to have started around this time. First wave of feminism, or the first wave feminist movement. This wave is mainly used, this first wave feminism is mainly used to signify the feminist movements of the late 19th century and the early 20th century. This wave particularly aimed at acquiring equal rights for women, both social and political, and that is why this movement is often referred to as the women's movement, because during this time women fought, they struggled for legal and political rights. They wanted to attain legal and political rights, and so they did that through this movement. As far as the earlier feminists are concerned, we find that they were much concerned with the right to earn their living. In fact, they also, identified something, that motherhood also wields social and domestic authority to women. And so later on, since in the first wave of feminist movement, feminists fought, or women, they fought for their suffragette, they fought for their right to vote. So later we find that this universal adult suffrage, or this right to vote, was granted to women between 1928 and the 1940s. Now, with time, or over time, we find that feminism, comes to have varied different connotations, and it happens because, and the connotations change, the connotations differ over time. It is because of the varied or heterogeneous experiences of women across different parts of the world. So, depending on the heterogeneity, or different, or depending on the varied experiences of women, we find that feminism changes its connotation, or its meaning changes over time. And that is why often, feminism is considered to be contradictory, to be diverse and complex at the same time. Second wave feminism. The second wave feminism refers to the feminist movements of the 1960s and 70s, and it addressed issues like women's employment, their role in the family, and sexuality. They demanded not only employment for women, but also, control over their reproductive and sexual roles along with their political rights. So it's not that they only demanded for their political rights, but at the same time, they were much concerned about women's independence. They were much concerned about women's employment because that was the only way which could give them independence, and as well as their reproductive and sexual roles, because they felt that every woman should have her control over over her respective reproductive and sexual roles. Besides this, we find that this phase, the second wave feminism, also, insisted upon acknowledging the difference between men and women. It's not for the sake of discrimination, but one should acknowledge, one should understand the difference between men and women, and they insisted upon it much. And when they insisted upon this, this led to the growing use of the term, or to the increasing use of the term gender instead of the term sex, because through this they try to draw attention to the fact that the ideas or the concepts of masculinity and femininity, these concepts are not just biologically determined, but they are socially constructed. They are the results of social constructedness. This is what they wanted to focus on the most. Therefore, they wanted to convey this idea, they wanted to convey this message to society that masculinity and femininity, masculine and feminine, these are not just biological terms, or these are not just terms that can be only described biologically, but these are socially constructed, which assigns particular, or let's say which assigns respective definite roles to both men and women, thereby drawing the line between men and women. The third wave feminism, or the third wave of feminist movement. It began in the early 1990s, or we can say the late 20th century. The third wave of feminist movement, or the third wave of feminism, is significant in the sense that it attacks the binaries of the masculine and the feminine, sex and gender. These ideas that are inherently present in patriarchal structures, it attacks them. How these ideas or these binaries are socially constructed. So it makes an attempt to attack the way these ideas or these concepts are socially constructed for the sake of patriarchy. And these are, like I said, inherently present in patriarchal structures. The third wave feminists, they aim to highlight the importance of difference in speaking, thinking, and writing for and about women. This implies that they wanted to point out The way we speak about women, the way we think about women, or the way we write for women and about women, it makes a huge difference in the way we perceive them. For instance, if women are always depicted as meek and mild and gentle, who are always ready to succumb to social pressures, then that would create a different perception about women. While if they are depicted or if they are projected in literary words as strong, self-sufficient, then that would again lead to a completely different perception about women. So here they try to show that this difference is really important and that matters a lot in how we conceive or how we uh, perceive women. So the way we speak, the way we think, and the way we write about women, it matters a lot. It makes a huge difference. So they tried to highlight it, and therefore it made them question those ideas, the existing ideas and words and even media, the way they transmit or the way they convey ideas about women, about womanhood, about beauty, sexuality, gender, masculinity, and femininity. So the feminists found that these ideas and words, they always convey ideas about these aspects in a way that always marginalize women, that always make women appear as inferior. So they questioned and they made an attempt to redefine these words, to redefine the words. So feminism, we can see that now it can be understood as something very broad based, and it is something that is not restricted to only a white middle class educated women. Feminism is a social movement, it is a political ideology that addresses, and it also includes, or let's say it encompasses, the diversity, differences, and contradictions of women's experiences across race, caste, class, and sexuality. This is how feminism should be understood. Fourth wave of feminism. Although it is a much debated issue as to when the fourth wave of feminist movement emerged. However, it is assumed that it began around 2012, that is, the early 21st century. The fourth wave of feminism seeks greater gender equality by focusing on gendered norms and marginalization of women in society, which means that all the norms and conventions that are existent in the society are questioned by the fourth wave feminists because they see that these social norms, these social conventions are all gendered. They create a disparity, they cause discrimination between men and women. So, since they seek greater gender equality, so they focus on these gendered norms, these discriminatory social norms and conventions, as well as how women are marginalized in society at every step. The fourth wave feminism mainly focuses on issues like sexual harassment, body shaming, rape culture, and most importantly, empowerment of women. Its main focus is to seek ways to empower women more and more. Its concern is its concern uh, is about sexual harassment, how women are sexually harassed, not just when she becomes a victim of rape, but even when she encounters marital rape. So these are very important issues that are dealt with by the fourth wave feminists. Even body shaming and rape culture. Like, whenever a woman becomes a victim of rape, it is always seen that the blame is always put on the shoulder of the woman. So this has become a rape culture where the victim is put on a trial for being raped as if it has been her fault, as if she is responsible for making the man rape her. So this has been the rape culture. And of course, body shaming. Like a woman, like if we look at the Victorian period, we shall see the kinds of outfits that were worn by women that actually affected their lungs because they were so body hugging, they were so body fitting that it always aimed at making a woman appear as someone who has a perfect body. So body shaming is another important issue that has been the focus of the fourth wave feminism, where a woman is made to feel ashamed of her body because she doesn't have a perfect body. So this body shaming rape culture, which have always contributed to marginalizing women in society, making them suffer more and more in society, have been the primary focus of the fourth wave feminism. And a very important aspect of this wave of feminist movement is that it made use of social media to highlight and address these concerns. Because this is what now we find on television, that media plays a huge role in conveying these messages, in conveying this news to the people all around. And fourth wave feminism completely made use of social media in order to bring all these issues to the forefront, in order to create awareness and in order to highlight how women, despite having no fault of their own, are victimized, are marginalized in society. So we can say that as far as the fourth wave of feminist movement is concerned, media plays a very important role. So with this, I come to the end of this lecture. I hope this video was of some help to you. So if you find the lecture comprehensible, then do like it, share it, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Until then, bye bye.